Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We will call this Russellville City Council Finance meeting for Tuesday, July 9th, 2024 to order. This time, I will yield the floor to Chairman Westcott.
Thank you, Mayor. Welcome, everyone. We have a few things on our agenda this evening. Item number 1 is consideration of a resolution that would accept an offer from Entergy to convey a utility easement that would authorize the mayor and city clerk treasurer to execute a public utility right-of-way easement deed to convey an easement to Entergy Arkansas LLC, accepting payment for that conveyance, directing the finance director to deposit that payment into the general fund and for other purposes. What is the will of the Finance Committee regarding item number 1?
I move item 1 be forwarded to the full council.
Are you providing any recommendation to that?
No recommendation.
Okay, there's a motion and second to forward item number 1 to the full council with no recommendation. Is there any discussion? Any comments from the public?
Can we get some background or some information on that, Mayor?
Mr. Newman, had a lapse in my brain there for a second. Mr. Newman, I reached out to him this afternoon. He explained it to me. It's part of Prairie Creek project. So.
Yes, sir. I'd be happy to explain that. In association with our Prairie Creek project, Entergy is required to relocate out of the proposed project area. The city owns the pump station on the north end of Glenwood, so this property is immediately adjacent to the Prairie Creek project, and they are getting easements along the corridor to relocate parallel to their existing infrastructure. So this was city-owned property. It's treated differently than city right-of-way, so we're receiving or dedicating an easement for the value proposed to allow Entergy to utilize that for some power poles and guy wires. I've also met with City Corps, which utilizes that property with the pump station now. They have no objection. We met on site, located the poles, and so we recommend moving this to City Council for approval.
I don't have any numbers on here. What's that proposed price?
In the, give me 1 second. There's a report. Yes, sir. $2,150 is the value proposed.
And how do we get to that number?
It is their standard numbers that they provided for all of the easements along that corridor is the value they provided to us.
Gotcha. All right, I'm good.
Any other questions for Mr. Newman? Thank you, Mr. Newman, very much. Any other questions in general?
Mr. Chairman, I move to, can I amend my motion now?
At any time.
I move to amend my motion to recommend passing it to full council with a recommendation of do pass.
Okay.
Second.
So the motion is changed. Since you made the motion, you can change it. The motion has been changed to forward item number 1 to the full council with a recommendation of approval. Is any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Thank you. Item number 2 is consideration of a resolution that would accept a bid from Pinkley Sales Company to purchase 7 MyoVision single-camera video detection systems for the city of Russellville, Arkansas. That would also authorize the mayor and city clerk treasurer to enter into an agreement with Pinkley Sales Company for the said purpose on behalf of the city of Russellville. What is the will of the Finance Committee regarding item number 2?
Is that supposed to be 7 or 17? Okay.
They'll take the other 10. I said they'll
Was
take
that
the other
pronounced
10.
17? It certainly meant 7. It says
Yeah,
7
no, it
here.
says 7. It is 7, yes.
Is there a motion of any kind regarding item number 2 as far as the council? Or the Finance Committee?
This wasn't approved in this year's budget, but we had to go through the bidding process. That's what we're doing.
I'd like to make a motion to send it to the full council with the recommendation of approval.
Okay.
Second.
Second. Is Is any discussion on item number 2?
Yes, so is item 2 separate from the cameras with the police department? This is a completely
They're
different
two
set of
different
cameras.
set, two different cameras.
sets.
Is this the one, these are the ones that are going to be, because it's for Public Works. Oh, I'm sorry,
These are traffic lights.
I'm sorry, I was thinking Parks and Rec for,
Yeah.
I apologize.
Yeah.
I just had a little,
Yeah. Just to clarify, these are traffic signalization cameras.
Right. Any other discussion on number 2? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3 is an appropriation request from the 2021 Sales Tax Capital Fund, the sum of $69,110 to be used for year 1 contract price for service and implementation of the flock safety system for the police department, which will be discussed here in just a few other items down the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move we send item number 3 to the full council with a recommendation of due pass.
Thank you, and I'll second that one. Is there any discussion on item number 3?
This is the same system we've been talking about, right?
Yes.
And this will be discussed, if you'd like, in item number 5 of our agenda, as far as the resolution regarding that. Any other discussion on item number 3? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4 is an appropriation request from the 2021 Sales Tax Capital Fund, the sum of $136,316.58 to be used to provide funding to purchase a new playground unit for Washburn Park. What is the will of the Finance Committee on number 4?
Make a motion to send to the council for approval.
Second.
Is any discussion on item number 4?
Yeah, actually I do. Terry,
Great.
this playset was how old, and what is our next playset's age that needs to get replaced?
The current one at Washburn is 28 years old, which is way past its prime, and the next one to be replaced is probably James Park.
How old's that one?
That one is probably 16, 18 years old, maybe. Just the top of my head, maybe older than that. But we've replaced every playground except those two, not counting all-inclusive, but every playground's been replaced within the last 6 or 7 years, maybe 8 years. City Park had a few that were done before that, but we have all pretty much up to date with those two.
You thinking something similar for James Park as this for Washburn? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of time frame schedule on James Park?
James will probably be toward the end of next year, 2025.
Cool.
Because I believe at that time we could probably get a grant through this same company and it cut the price down drastically, so.
Nice. Very good. Is there any other questions for Mr. Thomas? Thank you, Mr. Thomas, very much. Any other discussion on number 4? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5 is consideration of a resolution that would waive competitive bidding, authorize the City of Russellville to execute an agreement with Flock Group Incorporated to purchase the Flock safety platform and services, sponsored by the Russellville Police Department. What is the will of the Finance Committee regarding item number 5?
Make a motion that we send to the full council for approval.
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion on item number 5? I would call on the police chief very briefly, if you would, express our reasoning why we need to waive competitive bidding versus going through the normal bidding process. And my question is in no way faulting this request. It's just for clarification for those who are watching.
My request to waive competitive bidding for this flock safety system is the interconnectivity it has with other cities throughout the state of Arkansas that allows us to communicate our problems among 50 cities that already have this system in place in Arkansas, not counting 1,500 other agencies across the country. So it helps us to share information more efficiently and take care of our problems more efficiently. And this system is, there to do that. It's already in place.
And this system will fix this company will fix any of the problems, all of this stuff will be warranted,
Correct.
And how many cameras is it around town?
17 devices.
So it's 17 more sets of eyes. I like it.
Me too.
And it will increase safety at our public parks.
Increase safety for the whole city, our major parks and the entire city.
The entryways in and out of the town, so that.
Yes, sir.
And it's going to work in conjunction. The county is doing a similar project, correct?
Correct.
Is it true that the person that was recently apprehended in Morrilton, that was going around on social media, was seen by a system that they have that's similar to this?
Same system.
Same
It
system?
was one of the ways they knew he was in their city, yes.
Any questions for Chief Ewing? Thank you, Chief, very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments regarding item number 5? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6 is consideration of a resolution that would amend the budget for the general fund to include an expenditure budget line for the HSA contribution expense. What is the will of the Finance Committee regarding item number 6?
Can we get an explanation?
Ms. Rogers?
In the original budget for the general, there was not a line item for the HSA contributions, the employer match. So we would just like to add this in, so when we post that expense, we have a budget to post against.
So that you're not having to keep it on the side somewhere else and,
It's there now, we just get an alert every single time on every payroll entry.
And while you're there, can you address item number 7, your request about streamlining the accounting?
Yes, sir. When there were special taxes collected, like the 2014 street sales tax or the half-cent road tax, they were kept in a separate department within Fund 2, but it's all in the same bank account. You just had different buckets within one account. When we had the 2021 sales tax for the street passed, there was a separate fund set up, and that really helped to streamline the accounting so that you can tell the difference of what money you
Right.
have for operational costs and what money you have for your street projects.
Right.
Is there anything legally preventing us from, even though they're separate taxes, there's nothing preventing us from putting those in the same fund?
No, we're still going to finish out the 2014 sales tax and the half-cent road tax projects as planned and close those departments within the fund. And then just moving forward, keep the accounting a little more separate, makes it more straightforward.
Sure. Thank you. Are there any other questions for the Finance Director? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions on item number 6?
Make a motion to move number 6 and number 7 to the full council with a motion of approval.
Second.
Okay, so our motion was for number 6. It's now 6 and 7.
Yes.
Any discussion on item number 7? Hearing none. All those in favor of items 6 and 7 say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Good job. Item number 8 is consideration of a reimbursement request for the first quarter expenses for 2024 for Arkansas Valley Alliance for Economic Development in the amount of $16,592.26.
Make a motion to send to the full council recommendation of approval.
Second.
Second. Is any discussion on item number 8?
We got everything ironed out this time.
The items that have been requested for reimbursement have been scrutinized on our end and forwarded to us with a clear conscience. All those in favor of item number 8, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9 similarly is a consideration for the reimbursement request for the Arkansas Valley Alliance. No, wait a minute.
Yeah, you're right. Number 9.
Second quarter, okay. I was jumping ahead to number 10 here. Let's stop with number 9. Same output, but in the amount of $14,606.18 for the second quarter expenses.
I make a motion that we vote to send to the full council for the approval.
And I'll
Second.
second that. Any discussion on item number 9? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 10 is the one, consideration of a reimbursement request for the second quarter expenses for 2024 for the Alliance Workforce Development portion. This request is in the amount of $21,698.87. Some of those items being somewhat controversial, it's been requested that we table this item till next Thursday's meeting, that the amount can be adjusted somewhat. So I move that item number 10 be tabled to next Thursday's finance meeting.
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
What are the controversial items?
There is an item regarding food. That's one item that will be adjusted before the total amount's brought to us.
Is there background on that? Like, is it not in the contract? Is it a gray area?
Yeah, I had assumed that the legal team from the chamber and Mr. Smith had gotten together and agreed upon things so that we wouldn't have to do this again.
We talked about the first quarter expenses, and we never mentioned anything. This is the second quarter, so it just arrived, and I was asking, there's nothing about a luncheon in the workforce development contract.
Is the chamber contract different than the workforce contract?
Yes.
Okay, so the chamber contract is different than the workforce contract.
They're both alliance contracts, but for different things.
So a meal with a meeting and an agenda on the chamber contract would be acceptable since, but on the workforce contract, it would not be the way the contract is written?
The way it's written, it doesn't say anything about anything close to food.
Okay.
Is there some reason why we couldn't approve this? I mean, is it not something in the scope of their duties as the Alliance
No.
for Workforce Development?
No, it's not in the contract.
So since there is some controversy, the
Would-
controversy that won't be worked out right here among us this evening, I mean, we can forward it with no recommendation if that's what you prefer, or we can table it till next Thursday. Either way, we'll have to address it next Thursday.
Would it be possible, moving forward with the quarterly expense reimbursements that we're doing with, like, the Alliance and the Workforce Development, Boys and Girls Club, we've hit a snag with them on this before. I know there was some question with the downtown Main Street organization that we contract with. Is there any way that we could, like, set up where, as they're submitted, that we could then have some sort of meeting between the city and that entity to go over those, so that when it comes to us everyone is in agreement of what can be covered and what can't. That way we don't have to, that way they're not having to redo things 3 and 4 times. We're not having to table things 3 and 4 times.
Well, and thank you for asking that. I think that we here are doing that very thing that you're
Well,
asking
no, I'm
for.
talking about before
little-
it gets to us. I'm
well-
saying, like, is it possible?
Well, I mean, but it comes to us here tonight for us to finalize and make for certain before we forward it to everybody else next
I
Thursday.
completely
but-
and totally get that. But what I'm saying is that our city attorney is saying that there are some expenses that have been submitted for reimbursement that may not fall within the contract. Is it possible to get like a meeting on the books with these organizations that we have these types of contracts with, so that when they submit those, the city attorney can look at them before it even comes to us, and they can say, yes, this does, and yes, it doesn't. Like, I think it would streamline the process if, as opposed to
Right.
them turning it in, us coming to a meeting, and then being told, well, that doesn't fit within the contract, so we're going to table it, and that's fine. We're going to come back next Thursday anyway. But then they've got to go back and they've got to do theirs, and then the city attorney is going to look at his too. I think it would be more efficient use of everyone's time if we could get together. We only do it quarterly, so I mean, if we got together before this point, so that we could all be on the same page.
Right. I feel no personal sense of delay about this, and the people that are making the request, if it's an inconvenience for them that we delay, then that is a better encouragement for them to get us the correct information in a timely fashion. Mayor, I yield the floor to you.
Something that just during this meeting came to my mind, or came to my awareness. The chamber actually did sit down with myself and Mr. Smith, and in that meeting, there was discussion that according to the chamber contract, that meals along with an agenda and the people represented and who attended that. And so undoubtedly there's a difference between the chamber contract and the workforce development contract. And that's where the confusion is. And I don't think Dr. Selman did anything wrong by submitting anything wrong. I think there was just a misunderstanding. And so I think it may be that we just, like Mr. Keller saying, let's clarify with each individual contract, because there are some things that are acceptable in one contract that may not be acceptable in a different contract. Or do you as a council want to redo all the contracts so that everything is acceptable, and however that works? But I think that's where the confusion is it was acceptable in one and it was presented for reimbursement in this one. And so I think that's where that confusion
I don't think that Dr. Solomon is submitting something that she knows is not reimbursable. And I don't think that Trey's doing the wrong thing by going in and making sure that this is under the scope of the contract, and we're doing things above board. And we're doing things as the contract states. There seems to be a lot of confusion recently between what is allowable and what's not. And I mean, it seems like for the first and second quarter for the Alliance, having that meeting of going over the contract of saying this is what's allowable, this is what's not, finally got first quarter, and now second quarter's going through with no problems. If we could do that same thing with the other entities that we contract with, so that everyone knows, then it would save time for everyone involved.
Could this be something that the council liaisons could work with the organizations who have contracts, set up those meetings and try to work through that?
Marvelous.
I'm not sure I don't have my liaison list in front of me, but I agree with you, Mr. Keller and Mr. George, and I'm sure Chairman Westcott himself is just frustrated that we're having to have this discussion again, but I don't think anyone did anything wrong. It was just a misunderstanding. And so I think as we move forward, let's try to, well, I can't make a motion, so
Yeah.
I'll submit back to you, Chairman.
No, and no frustration to me. It's no hardship at all in any way. It's just trying to make things clean, that's all. Any other discussion about the tabling of item number 10?
Well, I think just to kind of wrap this up, the issue is mostly that we have acted upon certain processes and ways things have been done, and now we are asking people to do things a little differently. And so we can hopefully all have grace and be patient with each other as we are trying to get our ish together. And so that's it, really.
Grace is a good word.
All those in favor of tabling item number 10 just till next Thursday, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Item number 11 is consideration of a reimbursement request for the second quarter expenses for 2024 for the Russellville Boys and Girls Club in the amount of $30,000. And I move that we forward item number 11 to the full council with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Second. Is there any discussion on item number 11 other than to say the items have been scrutinized heavily? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Mayor, to my knowledge, that's the last on our agenda. I yield the floor back to you.
We'll adjourn the agenda or the finance meeting. We'll let Miss, we'll get ready to go. We'll roll right into agenda prep. All right. Welcome again, once again, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to the Tuesday, July 9th Council Agenda Prep Meeting 2024. Mr. Duval, come up here and tell us something exciting.
So on our Tampa sidewalk project, more than likely it's going to be done this week, completed. So we had no issues. It's y'all asked, Eric, so everything went great. Our sidewalk maintenance will start next week. Our Ridgewood drainage project, we're setting up a pre-construction meeting, and after that project will get going. So that's all I have.
All right. That's a long-awaited project. There's been
Yes,
some
it
people that
is.
have been fighting some water for a long time over there.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Duval? All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Dr. Selman with the Arkansas Valley Alliance Economic Development first and second quarter reports.
Yes.
Thank
and
you, Dr. Selman.
Thank you so much. And I did want to say that we are happy to hear the discussion and have the discussion about tabled items and reimbursement items. That's why we hired an attorney to have that meeting with Mr. Smith and the mayor, because we will put anything on there that you tell us is legally okay to put on there. We don't want to be a problem. We want to work with the city because we're so fortunate right now in Russellville that across the board, the leadership is working together, and I think that's the priority, that we are operating in good faith with our contract, and so the details, we are eager to learn the fine print and the details so that we are turning in reimbursable items that are okay with everybody, because big picture, I think we want to all stay on the same page working together across departments and across leadership in Russellville. So thank you for that and helping us learn. Okay, I'm going to give 2 quarters. That's in my annual report, so I think it's 2 quarters at once. So stop me if I'm going too fast. But the AmeriCold ribbon cutting happened in March. That was a huge multi-million-dollar project for Russellville with lots of new jobs. We had the governor here, so we were very proud of that ribbon cutting and to host Governor Sanders coming to Russellville for the first time to cut the ribbon out on that facility. So that is an example of the economic development that we are working on at the chamber, and we have a lot of it going on right now. Russellville is the face of Entergy's new campaign because of our select site. So we put a lot of work into the site that Owens Corning purchased last year. We got the site certified, which involves a lot of due diligence, a lot of geotechnical studies, environmental studies, soil sampling, grading. We get that site shovel ready.
and then use it to recruit industry to Russellville with the shovel-ready site. And it worked. Last year, we brought in a new Fortune 500 company to Russellville, Owens Corning, and now we're the face of the Energy Certified Site Select program. So it's a proud point for our community. We also received the Silver Shovel Award in 2023. That went to the state of Arkansas, but recognized in that award listed Owens Corning as a top project, directly contributing to Arkansas winning the Silver Shovel Award. So Russellville is doing great. Our marketing efforts last year at the Chamber, we launched a campaign that with commercials and the Start Here, Stay Here campaign, and that won the 2023 Tri-Peak Region Community Marketing Award. And none of those commercials said join the Chamber. They all said come to Russellville, do business here, work here, live here, entertain yourself here, get out and enjoy all that we have to offer here in Russellville. We were recognized again this year by Governor Sanders for our economic development efforts here in Russellville through the Alliance organization. I attended the Lithium Innovation Summit that Governor Sanders hosted the first half of the year as a representative from Russellville, along with one representative from Arkansas Tech. And I know we don't have lithium here, that's in South Arkansas, but we're pretty close enough to compete to be on the supply chain. So how can we recruit manufacturers who are on the lithium supply chain here to Russellville? That was the goal, and we went down there to learn how to do that, and we're engaged in a few of those projects currently. We also were a stop for the first time this year on the State Chamber's Arkansas Outlook and Progress Tour. Arkansas Tech was gracious enough to let us use their facility to host. Randy Zook from Arkansas State Chamber came and talked to us about economic forecast and how competitive we are here. That was very interesting. So as far as a site visit, I know that a lot of what we are doing in economic development is under NDAs and kind of cloaked in the secrecy. So I do want to talk about when I say that we have hosted as a community 7 site visits this year, that means that we have competed for the project from start to almost finished. And I put up here a slide that shows the progression of what that looks like. So we are engaging the company, we are picking sites in Russellville that meet the requirements or doing due diligence to create a site. If it doesn't meet the requirements, to go ahead and check the boxes there to get our city ready and packaged, our land ready and packaged, and to hit pre-selection, initial assessment, advanced assessment, and to walk us through with any given interested party all the way till final negotiations. Final negotiations are when they come to visit us. So it's kind of like we've made the Elite 8, then the Final 4, then the championship game. There's a process there. So when I say we've hosted 7 site visits, that means we've been in the top 5, 4 or 5, for companies, global companies all over the United States. Russellville has been in the top 5 7 times so far this year. So that's what a site visit is. I just wanted to be clear. It's not just a meet and greet, we're not shaking hands and playing pool down at the pool hall. We're also heavily involved right now in a startup innovation hub in Russellville and bringing more opportunities for entrepreneurs and businesses in our region to collaborate and create some of that synergy involving higher education partners, K-12 partners, and local business partners. We did Eclipse support. I'm careful to say Eclipse support because hats off to tourism who did the heavy lift. But, if we're going to do a semi-annual report, April was busy with the eclipse. So I mentioned we helped by hosting town halls to ensure that our business community here in Russellville was prepared for supply chain disruption, for internet disruptions, how they could market and capitalize on their entrepreneurial spirit during our visitors, which I think we had about 46,000 end up coming to Russellville, the city limits, on the day of the eclipse. We have 40 new members, and we've done 23 ribbon cuttings at the Chamber in the last 6 months. And while that may not be necessarily related to the city, I think that goes to show that we are providing some valuable business resources to Russellville. Otherwise, we would not have 40 new businesses join the chamber. You wouldn't see 23 new businesses opening up. We are really doing our very best to be a chamber of commerce, to focus on commerce and focus on what we can provide of value to the business landscape in our town. Marketing, here are some statistics. We have grown to 1.2 thousand followers with a 300,000 reach on social media platforms. And so we are telling a story about why you want to live here, why you want to do business here, why you want to come ride your bike here. That is the story that we are telling, a positive story on Russellville and our community. And on our website, we had 28,000 views this month. We have, or this 2 quarters, and we've started the stories. I think Troy was our story today on just local business owners, local pharmacists, local entrepreneurs, local community members, to spotlight not only that person, but how wonderful our community is as a whole. Our leadership class, we graduated 36 this past June from our leadership class. One of their projects included this beautiful mural we fundraised for, designed and had that put downtown as an amenity during the eclipse. And we are also working on a fence for the Lattimore House. I'll talk about that later. Oh, I'll talk about that right now, actually. A 300-foot privacy fence at the Lattimore Tourist Home was completed last week. So we fundraised for that fence, and then they went and did the manual labor to install the fence as well. First Friday breakfast, some community. I pulled out some of the First Friday breakfasts that were specifically community-oriented. We had a school board forum. That seat was an at-large seat, so that information was good for all of us. School board forum, State of the University with Dr. Jones, Dr. Aldolfo, and some of the new leadership out at Tech, and Gina Lockwood, Dr. Nichols came and presented the State of the University, and then Judge Cross came and told us about the upcoming public safety tax that the county will be running next year in May. We also took a trip to Washington, D.C. with our community leaders, and so I think that's a picture with Tom Cotton, Mayor, Senator Davis, Christy Graham, myself, Alyssa and Angela from the Chamber, Gina Lockwood, and Dr. Jones from Arkansas Tech, and Judge Ben Cross flew to Washington, D.C. We spent 2 or 3 days engaging with our delegation there, as well as one-on-one meetings to talk about issues that are local to us here, specific ask that we had organized to talk about in those meetings. So we also attended the unveiling of the Daisy Bates statue on behalf of our community. Workforce development, this has been a very busy department of the Chamber. You'll see Mike Rogers, the Chief Workforce Officer for the state of Arkansas, was recently at the Chamber. And I think the $300 food expense was a luncheon, but it was an apprenticeship program where we took local industry, local employers, and an apprenticeship program at the state level and put everybody around the table and wanted to know how we could make an apprenticeship work here in Russellville to bring that service to our not only K-12 but higher education students. Draft Day, I don't know if you guys were following along for Draft Day, but that was a huge local event. We had 40 statewide organizations and 10 regional high schools with over 150 interviews. So what this was the high school students took an aptitude test. It wasn't a cold interview. They took an aptitude test beforehand. It was pretty intensive. I think it's a 3-hour test. And the students were then matched and guaranteed 3 interviews, matched with local employers that were hiring, so they could come to Cyclone Arena, attend a job fair, but they sat down and interviewed with at least 3 employers matched on aptitude and interest, and they could be hired on the spot, so they could leave with a job, and many of them did. So you'll see Dassault Falcon Jet, Blackstone, they were very happy with the day and how it turned out, and then we had the Be Proud bus there for that as well. So Draft Day was a big event. We held it this year in April. We'll probably push it back a little bit earlier next year to catch the seniors that are out of school. We cut a ribbon this week for Employment Accessibility Project. So the Workforce Development Department at the Chamber received some funding through a grant, and we created a 65-inch flat screen TV that is an interactive help wanted board. So it connects job seekers with, especially in underserved populations, with job postings, but it also connects them with resources like resume writing, rehabilitation services, veteran services, how to get your GED, English as a second language, and then all of the programs loaded on here come in English, Spanish, French, German, Lao, and Burmese, and then we have one that stays at the chamber, and we have one that we moved out to One Roof to help those families be able to access those resources. So we are very excited about that project. We did a lot in this last 6 months to bring industry and education together to the table. Tours of the nuclear plant, tours of manufacturing. We included career coaches and Arkansas Tech and Russellville School District, surrounding K-12s, lots and lots of opportunity. And we have put together a nonprofit report to highlight several things that we have done as an alliance in the community for nonprofits. We have a lot of shared goals as our nonprofits with better jobs. We're here to create better jobs and increase the opportunities for upward mobility, just like a lot of our nonprofits are. I do think that as we bring industry in and those jobs are better jobs, better paying jobs, and more jobs are available, that's the same goal as a lot of the nonprofits, Boys and Girls Club, a lot of the nonprofits at One Roof around town. So any way that we can serve our community through helping others is always something that we prioritize. We've got 34 nonprofit members of the chamber right now. We celebrated River Valley Food for Kids on June 6th with a ribbon cutting marking their anniversary. Was it 10? Okay, 10 million meals. So when Owens Corning came to town and they had a groundbreaking ceremony, they donated $40,000 to One Roof at that ceremony and paid the rent for all of those organizations for 3 months. So that's ways that we are working, I think, beyond just our events that you see every day. We're working towards goals for all citizens in Russellville. Additionally, the workforce kiosk that went out to One Roof, the Americold ribbon cutting, Governor Sanders was here. Americold also partnered with Feed the Children to distribute 300 meals to local families after that ribbon cutting. That was fast and furious last 6 months. There's a lot more. I tried to hit the highlights. I have a lot more, but is there any questions or anything I can answer? Or... Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Selman.
Yes, thank you very much.
Go get a drink of water. All right, where are we at? So, moving on, we'll have on the mayor's report coming up, we'll have a consideration of reappointment of Brian Fisher to Russellville Housing Authority as chairman and appointment of Jill Ward as a new board member to the Russellville Housing Authority. If anybody's got any issues on, any questions with that. Unfinished old business, we'll have a consideration of an ordinance vacating and abandoning a portion of 25 foot of North Knoxville Avenue along lots 5 through 8, Block 11. That's the Gene Renfro edition. This will be the third and final reading on this. Item 2 will be a consideration of an ordinance vacating and abandoning a 60-foot portion of West 13th Street right-of-way between Lot 4, Block 11, and Lot 1, Block 12, South Lawn Heights. This will be a third and final reading also. Item 3 is a consideration of an ordinance vacating and abandoning a portion of West C Street right-of-way between Blocks F and G, Hall Edition. This also will be a third and final reading. Item 4 is a consideration of an ordinance vacating and abandoning a 50-foot right-of-way of Mountain View Street adjacent to lot 119 and 120, and the last 60 feet of 50 feet of the right-of-way of East Fur. This is a second of 3 readings, just for the council's information. Myself, Ms. John Dahl, and Mr. Garza. It was someone else with us? Mr. Newman was with us. We met with the individuals that were here at council last week, and we talked through everything, and they felt good, and so we were, I just want to let you guys know that we met with them. That'll be the second of 3 readings. Consideration, item 5 is consideration of ordinance accepting the dedication of the easements of the city of Russellville, Arkansas for other purposes. This is the replat of Owens Corning subdivision on 1089 Tyler Road. This will be a second of 3 readings. Item 6 is consideration of an ordinance accepting the dedication of the easements of the city of Russellville, the final plat of West Harrell Edition, which is 2303 North Arkansas Avenue. This is a second of 3 readings. Also, item 7 is consideration of an ordinance approving the final plat of Tyler Road Place, a minor subdivision, and accepting dedication of the easements to the city of Russellville, Arkansas. This is the first of 2 readings. This is the final plat of the 502 Tyler Road.
Shouldn't that be the second?
Okay. Okay. Should be second. Thank you, sir. Second of 2 readings. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Keller. And moving on to new business, we do have a consideration of a resolution granting a license and land to Douglas persons for use of a portions of the city's right-of-way at North Knoxville Avenue, subject to the terms of the agreement attached with the resolution and for other purposes. This is submitted by Douglas. Is it Pearson or Person? Pearson. I apologize, Mr. Pearson, if you're watching, and unanimously recommended by the Planning Commission. This is at address 109 East F. This is for permission to build a fence and a right-of-way. This basically matches as all other fences that are on that road. This just allows him to build that fence in our right-of-way with an understanding if somehow the city needed to come back and do something, it would not, we would be allowed to do that, and it wouldn't be any expense to us as far as he would not be able to recuperate any of his expense. Also, item 2 is consideration of an ordinance accepting the dedication of the easements to the city of Russellville. This is 800 block of South El Paso, just south of 8th Street. And that looks like that's going to be all, unless there's anyone that has anything else for the good of the
I
council.
do have a late agenda item. I sent an email to Gina Monday regarding sort of a second round of grant for the Friends of the Lattimore Tourist Home. And it's mostly just something that we need to approve for them to be able to, there's no like, Betsy, do you care to come explain the specifics of this?
I don't, Miss Kelton did not get it, so, okay. So,
I mean, I would have put it on there, that would be a late, sorry.
No, that's,
is this something that we can put on Thursday? But let's discuss this real quick while we're, if you don't mind.
Yes, but we just wrapped up, as a matter of fact, our second round of HPRG funds, and it will soon be time for us to apply again for another round of that same line of funding. We cannot do that without the council's approval. It is actually a grant that we apply for on behalf of the city because the city owns the Lattimore Tourist Home and all the grounds that it sits on. But we need your all's approval to move forward with that when the time is right. And I know that can be a lengthy process from month to month, getting that approval from you all. So just wanted you all to be aware of that, whether that goes on the agenda for approval this month or you need to wait until August.
Can
The other
we
thing,
just get it on this month? And
Yeah, can we put that on Thursday?
Thursday.
It'll be on Thursday, and then
Okay.
it'll be on Thursday finance, and it'll go to full council on Thursday.
I'm also going to hand you all, because our memo of understanding, we do not have a contract for services with the city, we being Friends of the Lattimore Tourist Home, but we do have a memo of understanding through our partnership with you all on the rehab of the Lattimore Tourist Home. So part of our memo of understanding calls for a quarterly report. We do those reports in printed format. Steve Bennett, who usually comes to present those, is not here, but I'm going to hand that to you. And if you'll have any questions after you have a chance to look at that, you can certainly reach out to us. So,
Usually,
any questions?
usually he does the report during the agenda prep meetings instead of the council meetings.
It's whenever you all have time
Okay.
for that. And typically, it's just to bring you up to date on where we are. We just finished up our second HPRG grant. The folks from AHPP came and toured the house. They were just really pleased with the work that's been done. Just like Dr. Selman said, Leadership Class 38 just completed a fence around the periphery of that property, which has made a huge difference in that. There has been a lot of work done on the exterior of the structure to get it weather tight. It looks amazing, but I mean, we're just scratching the surface. And you all just need to be aware of that because, as I mentioned, you all own the house and the property. We want you to be proud of the work that's going on.
Thank you for all you're doing.
I saw the news report that they did on you guys, and it was really good, and y'all did really well, and hopefully get some awareness and maybe some money out of it.
Usually those reports are so good. That's when the money comes in,
Good.
what stuff like that goes out. So we're really thankful for those opportunities.
Well,
I'm
good
just
job.
really excited about the organization as a whole. I think it's a great thing for us as the city, for the community there in that area to see that not only does the city care and want to provide opportunity, but the community as a whole. I think it's just over the last couple of years, watching things change and grow there has just been great.
Yeah. And Mayor and Council, this is such a tremendous partnership. This would not happen without this partnership that Friends of the Lattimore has with the city. And just like Dr. Megan Selman said, there is so much great collaboration in areas of leadership in the community right now. I mean, Terry Thomas comes, we work with him because obviously the Lattimore is adjacent to James School Park. Sarah John Dahl has been such a gift to us working with her on the planning side. Debbie Headley helps us so much. I mean, you know, there's just such great, just great relationships. And so you all need to be commended for that. I'm going to leave you with those printed versions. And as I said, you can reach out at any time to any member of the Friends of the Lattimore Tourist Home to answer those questions. But I appreciate your time. Thanks for the late agenda item.
Thank you so much. Anyone else before I will entertain a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, we will adjourn.
I don't know what's going on.